Have you ever felt that your ambitions clash with a certain natural tendency to seek the path of least resistance? If you're like many people, you probably find yourself caught in this apparent contradiction. On the one hand, you have big dreams, you envision an extraordinary life, and yearn for significant achievements. On the other hand, something inside you resists the constant effort. The world tells you is necessary to achieve those goals. The good news is that this inner conflict is not a character flaw, but a deep intuition about a truth that our culture has forgotten. There is a path other than sacrifice and exhausting effort to manifest your highest ambitions for centuries. We have operated under the belief that success requires incessant struggle without sacrifice. There is no reward, we are told from a young age. But what if this fundamental premise were incomplete, and if there was a way to achieve more with less wear and tear in a more natural and sustainable way? The answer to this question lies in understanding two fundamental paradigms through which we experience life. The first is the paradigm of doing, where constant action becomes our identity. The second is the paradigm of being, where we discover the power of inner alignment as a key piece for our external achievements. The best thing is that the paradigm of being does not contradict your ambition. Power does not eliminate action, refines. It does not justify laziness, transforms your relationship with effort. It is precisely in this paradigm where you will find the answers you are looking for, a way to achieve your highest aspirations in the easiest way possible. In the next few minutes, you will discover how to reconcile these seemingly contradictory aspects and access a state where ambition and ease coexist naturally. We live in a society that glorifies being busy as if it were a virtue. Observe everyday conversations when we ask, "How are you?" The most socially valued answer is usually working in the struggle. This constant occupation has become a badge of honor, irrefutable proof that we are doing the right thing, that we are valuable, productive, important. The paradigm of doing has convinced us that our value is directly related to our ability to produce visible results. We get up early, we go to bed late, we fill every minute with tasks, and still the to-do list seems to multiply while our energy decreases. It's like running on a treadmill that goes faster and faster, which it is the price of living perpetually in this state. The answer manifests itself in our exhausted bodies, our overburdened minds, and our dulled spirit. Chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout are not just side effects. They are the inevitable consequences of believing that only through constant effort do we deserve our dreams. The most paradoxical thing is that this paradigm of doing frequently distances us from the efficiency it seeks to cultivate. When we are permanently tired, our creativity is reduced, our decision-making deteriorates, and we lose the ability to distinguish what is truly important from what is merely urgent. We end up doing more but achieving less, trapped in a cycle of activity that we confuse with progress. This paradigm also robs us of the experience of the present. While we are doing one thing, we are already thinking about the next. The mind never rests. It never stops to appreciate what is happening now. And it is precisely in this continuous present where our most valuable intuitions, our deepest connections, and our brightest reside authentic efficiency. Contrary to what we have been taught, does not come from incessant action, but from precise and aligned action. Just as an archer knows that brute force does not improve his aim, we must understand that more hours of work do not guarantee better results. True productivity arises when our actions emanate from a place of clarity, not anxiety or exhaustion. On the other hand, the paradigm of being represents a radical transformation in our way of relating to life. Instead of focusing on what we lack or what we should do, we ask ourselves, who should I be, so that what I desire flows naturally to me. This approach recognizes that our inner state, our consciousness, values, and energetic alignment precede and shape our external reality. When we operate from being, our actions arise not from fear or anxiety, but from a deep connection with our essence and purpose. The results of living from each paradigm are remarkably different. The paradigm of doing can generate significant external achievements, but frequently at the expense of our well-being. The paradigm of being allows us to manifest our ambitions while maintaining a state of peace and inner fulfillment. The most interesting thing is that the paradigm of being does not exclude doing. In fact, it enhances it when our actions emanate from a state of alignment. They are more effective and require less effort. Being transforms doing, turning it into a natural extension of our deepest essence. There is a wisdom in nature that seems to contradict everything our modern culture has taught us. Notice how a river doesn't try to reach the ocean. It simply flows along the path of least resistance, and for this very reason, it fulfills its purpose perfectly. Plants don't strive to grow towards the light. They respond naturally to it. This intrinsic intelligence that permeates all of existence suggests that perhaps excessive effort is not as essential to achievement as we have believed. Jacob Grinberg, in his explorations of the nature of consciousness, proposed that our perception is not simply a passive reflection of reality, but an active force that participates in the creation of our experience. According to this perspective, when we alter how we perceive the world, we are literally altering the reality that we experience. This idea invites us to consider that our internal states are not mere spectators of our lives, but fundamental architects of it. When we operate from states of tension, anxiety, or effort, we are generating a reality that reflects those same qualities: resistance, obstacles, difficulty. In contrast, when we reach states of clarity, alignment, and presence, our perception is fine-tuned, allowing us to see previously unseen opportunities. It is not that external reality has suddenly changed. It is our capacity to perceive it what has been transformed. Solutions appear more easily, and precise actions replace disordered effort. Ambition, when aligned with this principle, does not seek to force results through relentless will, but to cultivate the inner state from which those results emerge naturally. It's like the difference between rowing against the current or learning to sail with it. Both can take you to your destination, but one will leave you exhausted while the other allows you to enjoy the journey while conserving your energy. This is not an invitation to passivity, but to a more intelligent form of action. The law of least effort does not mean doing less. It means that every action you take generates the maximum possible impact because it arises from the right place at the precise moment. I would like to pause here and ask you, which of these two paradigms do you recognize as dominant in your life? Do you focus primarily on effort? Or are you just beginning to explore who you really are? Tell me, have you found moments where success came without exhausting effort? Let's continue transforming our relationship with ambition, and effort requires more than intellectual understanding. We need concrete practices that help us embody this new paradigm. I share with you 5 fundamental steps to begin living from the self while keeping your natural ambition alive. The first step is to practice intentional silence in a world saturated with stimuli and constant noise. Silence has become a rare commodity, yet it is precisely in these spaces of stillness where we can hear our wisest voice. Dedicate a few minutes each day to sit in complete silence with no digital distractions, no music, no conversation. This is not about formal meditation. Although you can do this if it feels familiar, the goal is simply to create an empty space where your essence can reveal itself over time. You will notice insights and clarity arise like water, bubbling up from a natural spring. The second step is to learn to distinguish between inspired actions and compelled actions. Inspired actions arise from a sense of clarity and genuine enthusiasm. They energize rather than deplete. They flow naturally and produce results that seem disproportionately positive in relation to the effort. Expended compelled actions, on the other hand, come from fear, obligation, or anxiety, pay attention to how your body feels. When you contemplate different types of action, tension, heaviness, or resistance, often indicates that you are operating from the paradigm of making lightness, enthusiasm, and a sense of expansion suggest alignment with your essential self. The third step involves cultivating gratitude as the foundation of abundance. Gratitude is not just a positive attitude, it's an energetic frequency that aligns your perception with what is already full and complete in your life. When you live from gratitude, you are operating from abundance rather than lack. This fundamentally transforms your relationship with your goals. You no longer chase accomplishments to fill a void, but rather manifest them as a natural expression of your fullness. Each morning, identify 3 aspects of your life for which you feel genuine gratitude, allowing that feeling to permeate your awareness before taking any action. The fourth step involves consciously aligning your actions with your inner vision rather than acting out of inertia or urgency. Take time to visualize the outcome you wish to create, not just in terms of external accomplishments, but in terms of the experience you want to have, how it will feel to manifest. This vision, what values you will be expressing, what impact you will make. Keep this vision present as you take action, allowing it to inform your every decision and move. This practice closes the gap between your inner self and your external expression. The fifth step is to practice intelligent surrender to the flow of life. Surrender does not mean passivity or resignation, but a profound trust in the natural order and perfect timing of the universe. When you encounter resistance, ask yourself, "This what am I doing feels forced? Is there a smoother path to my goal that I'm not seeing?" Sometimes what we interpret as obstacles are actually redirections toward higher possibilities. Intelligent surrender allows us to let go of rigid control without abandoning our aspirations, creating space for unexpected solutions and opportunities to emerge that our limited minds could not conceive. These 5 steps are not linear, but cyclical and complementary. As you integrate them into your daily life, you will begin to experience a new relationship with your ambitions, where excessive striving gives way to inspired action, and manifestation becomes a natural expression of who you truly are. On this path to the being paradigm, you will inevitably encounter challenges that will test your understanding and commitment. One of the most subtle is the procrastination trap. It is easy to misinterpret this approach as a justification for selfishness, confusing conscious surrender with avoiding responsibility. Remember that the being paradigm does not. It not only eliminates action, but transforms it. If you find yourself putting off important tasks while telling yourself you're trusting the universal flow, stop and ask yourself honestly, am I avoiding this action from my inner wisdom or from my fear? Another common obstacle is difficulty distinguishing between genuine intuition and resistance to effort. Our minds are adept at rationalizing comfort and can disguise fear as intuition. The key to discerning between the two lies in the energetic quality of each. Authentic intuition, even when it guides us away from something, generates a feeling of expansion and clarity. Fear-based intuition, on the other hand, feels contractive and confusing. Cultivate self-observation to recognize these subtle differences. You will also face guilt for not being constantly busy. We have been so deeply conditioned to value busyness that moments of stillness and contemplation can trigger feelings of worthlessness. When this guilt appears, recognize it as a product of your social conditioning, not a sign that you are doing something wrong. Remind yourself that some of the most productive and creative human beings in history understood the regenerative power of empty space, that taking time to rest, and that's it. You'll ultimately need to learn to navigate a social and work environment that glorifies hyperactivity. Family members, friends, and colleagues might question your new approach, mistaking it for a lack of ambition or commitment. You don't need to tell anyone about the being paradigm. You simply need to maintain your center while allowing the results to speak for themselves. Over time, the peace and effectiveness that you radiate will become your best argument. I invite you to experiment with this approach in your daily life. Start with small steps, applying these ideas to specific projects. Notice what happens when you allow your actions to arise from a state of inner alignment rather than urgency or anxiety. Pay attention to how the quality of your results changes when you operate from being. In the end, what you'll discover is that you didn't come into this world to constantly struggle, as I've told you on several occasions, but to create from the fullness of who you truly are. Your ambition doesn't need the sacrifice of your peace. In fact, it reaches its fullest expression when the two coexist in perfect harmony. Please allow me a minute to send a special thanks to Sony and Shilpa. Thank you very much for your support, and as always, if you have made it this far, receive that big hug on behalf of the entire team. I thank you for honoring us with your presence. See you soon. Stay awake.